guys, it's Gretchen and welcome back to my channel. So one of the most common questions that I'm asked is, did blank piercing hurt? So did my conch piercing hurt? Did my tragus piercing hurt? Did my blah 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 piercing hurt? And usually I'm gonna answer with yes. Someone is shoving a needle through you, it's gonna hurt. And a lot of people are put off by the fact that yes, piercings can potentially hurt. Some more than others, some less than others. It all depends on your body, it all depends on your pain tolerance. Everyone's gonna react differently to a piercing. So a lot of people will say, well, I wanna get da-da-da piercing, but I'm afraid to because of the pain. For today's video, I thought I would give some quick tips and tricks on how to not completely get rid of pain of getting a piercing, but potentially lessening it. Now, a few tips on this list are gonna be ones that I personally don't recommend, but they are ones that I've come across in my research of how to basically lessen the pain of getting a piercing. Again, not ones I'd recommend, but they are commonly used ones, so I figured I'd throw them in as well. So the first one that I'm gonna say is do your research. Find a reputable piercer. By researching and finding a good piercer, finding one who knows what they're doing, who has the experience in whatever it is, this will help ensure that it doesn't hurt as much as it could potentially. A good piercer is going to know how to pierce you correctly and with as little pain as possible. Piercers don't set out to cause harm to people or to cause hurt to people. This is their job, they're passionate about it, they like giving piercings to people. They're not in it because they want to cause pain. So do your research, find a piercer who is experienced, who is knowledgeable, who knows what they're doing, and that'll at least lessen the pain that you may experience. It also minimizes any risk that could come after the piercing. So that's just a good tip in general. Going off of this, once you have found that piercer, talk with them. They won't bite you, I promise. I promise you they will not bite you. Piercers love what they're doing. That's why they do it. Talk with them. Let them know your worries, let them know your concerns. You don't need to be over dramatic like you see people on YouTube. They're like, I got 5 piercings in one day, and they're all over the top. Just talk with them. Let them know your concerns. Let them know your worries, your fears about it. If you're worried about the pain, tell them that. They may offer suggestions on how you can, in that moment, deal with the pain, such as, do you want to hear step by step of what the piercer is doing, or do you just want them to go for it and then be like, done? Like if you'd rather hear them say, all right, now I'm going to clean the area. Now I'm going to get the tools ready. Now I'm putting on my gloves. Do you want to hear step by step process, or do you just want them to do their thing, do it, and then be like, done? Talk with them. I promise. They're not gonna bite you. So one method to deal with pain, and I do this before a tattoo or a piercing, is to take over-the-counter painkillers. Now, over-the-counter painkillers are not gonna just completely negate any pain you may experience. They may lessen it, they may help you just deal with it better. I personally have found that I get a headache whenever I get a piercing or a tattoo, and I think it's because of the adrenaline that comes along with it, and then the crash afterwards. So taking over-the-counter pain meds before I get it done kind of helps, not necessarily like make sure that it doesn't happen at all, but it does kind of lessen the blow of the headache for me. That's a personal thing. If you do choose to take an over-the-counter painkiller, do not take ibuprofen. Take acetaminophen, which is Tylenol. Do not take ibuprofen, which is Advil. The reason why you should only take acetaminophen and not ibuprofen is because ibuprofen thins your blood and you risk a chance of bleeding more than you would have normally. So if you're going to do painkillers of any kind, do acetaminophen, not ibuprofen, and just know that it's not gonna actually get rid of the pain, it just may lessen it, and that varies by person. So this next tip on how to reduce pain during a piercing is not one that I recommend, but it is one that I found to be commonly used, and that is numbing creams or numbing agents of any kind. I personally don't think numbing creams are that great, especially if you're getting a piercing or getting a tattoo. Some piercers don't want you to use that kind of thing at all. Some may be like, eh, it's fine. Others may just be like, don't use it because it could mess with the process. Because if it does do a good job of numbing the area and you get the piercing done, you can't feel if anything went wrong because it's numb. So even though it is a commonly recommended method of lessening pain, I personally would not use it, but that's up to you and as well as your piercer. Just because you want to use it doesn't mean your piercer necessarily wants to pierce you after you've used it. Does that make sense? So you've decided to go through the process of getting it done. You're already there. You realize that all of a sudden your anxiety is building up and you're really worried about the pain. Try and find ways to distract yourself, whether it's staring at the ceiling tiles, or you have a friend with you, you just like look them dead in the eye, or you daydream about something. Find a way to distract yourself. Now, I should also say, find a way to distract yourself without being obnoxious. So don't sit there like fiddling with things or yammering on. Be mindful that it's not just you in the room. There's a piercer, you may have a friend, piercer may have an assistant. There's gonna be more people in the room. It is not just you. So try not to be obnoxious with your distracting methods, but do try and find something that can help ease your mind, take your mind off things, and potentially lessen that pain mentally. Going along with this, try some deep breathing exercises. So you can do deep breathing, you can focus yourself. It's kind of along the lines of distracting yourself, but if you're really focused on something that may take your mind off of it, you can also try meditating before you go to your piercing appointment. I personally have not tried meditating before, but I have done the whole deep breathing thing. I've done the focus thing. Both have really helped me. I read that a lot of people will meditate before they go get their piercing done, and that puts them into a calm state, so that it kind of lowers any like heart rate, lowers any anxiety that someone may be experiencing, and makes for a better experience. So this next tip is one that is very specific. This is how I dealt with my pain, or any pain that I experienced when I was first getting into piercings. As many of you know, when I get a piercing, I typically go with my mom. She's like my piercing buddy. She and I will pretty much get exactly the same thing, but like on opposite sides, primarily in regards to our ears. She doesn't really have any facial piercings other than one nostril done, so can't really say for that, but for our ears, we have all the same exact ear piercings, but they're switched. So what I have on my left ear, she has on her right ear, and vice versa. So what I found to be incredibly helpful was that because we would always go get piercings together, I'd make her go first, so that I could kind of gauge her reaction. She and I have very similar pain tolerance levels, so I could gauge her reaction of how that piercing went for her. And then in my mind, I could be like, all right, she dealt with it, she got it, it's fine, she didn't really grimace or anything like that, I can do it. So that's a very specific thing. It's not always gonna be that way, or not always work out for everyone. But I found that, especially early on in the piercings, now I go first because I wanna get it over with. And usually I'm getting a facial piercing now and she doesn't get them. So I found that going with someone, making them get it first, so that you can watch their reaction, gauge their reaction. I found that to be incredibly helpful when it came time for me to get it done and managing my pain. Again, very specific though, not a very broad tip, but it could be helpful. And the final tip that I'm going to offer is embrace the pain. Pain is a part of piercings and tattoos. In this specific case, piercings. Pain is part of it. You are going to experience some level of discomfort. It may not be full-on pain, it just may be uncomfortable to you. Everyone is different, everyone reacts differently. What was painful to me may not be to you, and what was painful to you may not be to me. Everyone is different. So going into it saying like, yeah, you know what? This may hurt. But then once you get it done, you're like, it wasn't as bad as I thought. That's another way that I've been able to cope, is I always build it up in my head. It's gonna be a whole lot worse than it actually is. And then I get it done, and it's not quite that bad. My forward helix, I thought for sure was gonna be horrific. It was hardly anything. Remember that pain lasts a few seconds. It should be the least of your concerns when getting a piercing. There's so many other aspects of getting a piercing that should be your top focus, your top priority. Pain is at the very bottom because it truly only lasts a few seconds. So those are just some tips and tricks that I can offer you on how to better deal with your pain or understand your pain when getting a piercing. I know that a lot of people put off getting a piercing because they're terrified to get it done. I'll be the first one to admit that I have never gotten a tongue piercing or nipple piercings before because I have been absolutely terrified of the pain. But if I'm gonna offer a video like this, I honestly should just get over and get one of them done. Don't know which one. Maybe the boobs. If you have any tips or tricks that you find helpful for yourself when getting a piercing done, leave them in the comments below. Also, has anyone actually tried numbing creams before? when getting a piercing. Leave your experience with that in the comments below. I know most people use them for tattoos and less with piercings, but I know people do use them, like Dr. Numb, I think is a popular brand. So if you've ever had an experience with using one, leave them in the comments below because I personally would want to know. But that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big ol' thumbs up. Go on down there and hit that subscribe button wherever it may be, because I don't know. Even though I do, this is just my shtick now. Also hit that notification bell in case you want to know when I upload, and in case YouTube wants to let you know when I upload, because I would really appreciate it. And until next time, bye guys.